Just wanted to chat with you quickly about the relationship between Don Candus and Summer and what might really be going on. Just really briefly, because, obviously there's all sorts of comments that come in into my comment sections and also onto ones in other videos and into chat lines and things. And, there's a lot of what I see as some sort of weird tide turning where Candus is becoming the only abuser and possible suspect, and people see the pain in Don, and even though they might know he's a dirtbag, they think maybe he's been trying to rebuild his family and have a life that is meaningful and good, and maybe had a bit of a failure last year in October, and just seeing Candus, there's comments such as, she's just using Don. She wouldn't leave him because she wants to be supported by his money. And I think, you've got to realize how complex their situation is and how much subtext we're really not privy to. And I think in analysis of the situation, when you're trying to decide what you think or what might have happened and where Summer might be, you need to remember that Candice Bly is an abused woman. She's in a household where she is subject to domestic violence and all the complex machinations of life that go along with that. All the ins and outs of being in that dynamic. It's not just that simple, okay? And sure, Candice isn't working at the moment. She hasn't been, she's got a husband that does work. This is wonderful. But she's also in a domestic violence situation. We know this. And so you need to start remembering what the mental and emotional abuses that goes along with the physical violence and the ins and outs of that and the ebb and flow of that and the how complex things are and what, how that'll be playing out within what's happening now, okay? So, because it looks like Candice Bly is spending as much time as possible away from Donald Wells, doesn't it? Even running away to these little prayer vigils that she's not speaking at or really partaking of. She's not even announcing a word of thanks or anything to anybody, but she's there, and maybe with one child or two, and she's probably there to be away from Don. I mean, he's probably at work, but she probably doesn't feel safe at the house. Who knows what's going on? But remember, she's an abused woman, and there's a lot of there's mind fuckery. Okay, there's mind fuckery, and you can see it in the way Don threatens her with life in prison for the person that's guilty, and all sorts of things like that. Saying, Candice wouldn't lie. Yeah, because Candice knows what's going to happen, right? Because Candice will be beaten black and blue or possibly killed. Yep. So, what else? Well, it doesn't stop at Candice Bly, and that's very obvious. It's obvious that, just in my opinion, it's obvious that Donald Wells is an abusive person, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and we don't know what Summer was going through. We don't know, how far beyond neglect from both parents this has really gone. And daddy's little girl, but mummy's shadow, developmental delays. She doesn't speak. I don't know if there'd be anything that could be diagnosed there, if it's just lack of nurturing and lack of parenting. But she certainly, just in my opinion, is probably a child that's sexually abused. She's neglected, she's starved, and she's starved for positive reinforcement, boundary lessons, everything that goes on top of that, it's super, super complicated. It's just a lot more complicated than, hey, was there an accident while Candus was out, puppy, well, stop it, darling, while Candus was out, making a fool out of Don, while Candus is out living her own life and getting her own digs in to Don. They're not trying to work on having a life together, I don't think. These are two very separate people getting whatever they can out of their life that happens to be together. And either one of them could have done something to Summer, Yep. And if it's Candus and Don knows, well, Don knows that Summer's little body can't be found. We see this all the time. And if it's Don and Candus knows, she's even more frightened. I mean, she's frightened now, thinking that if she's done this and she doesn't get away with it and they're not left alone or whatever, she's very frightened of Don. She's a very bizarre woman. She seems developmentally delayed to me, emotionally at least, and the way that her effect is at the moment. It's like she's needing to relive what was taken from her by her getting pregnant early, twice, having 2 children, probably very young, and meeting a 20-year-older nearly man when she was very young, losing the 2 children and then being with this much older man, and moved around a lot. His sister goes missing. She's had trauma after trauma after trauma, and she's been missing out, and now maybe her boys can take care of themselves. See, they look well fed, don't they? Well, it's because they can fend. It's because they can make themselves a sandwich. They can get something to eat at school. They can scrounge around. They can get food, but Summer can't. And just think about, they've had this huge day. They come back and she says she gave her a piece of candy. She doesn't even, she's so demented that she can't even make up a story about, well, and then I made us a nice lunch. We were starving, had some sandwiches. No. When does she mention having breakfast first? Wouldn't that be something fond you'd remember? How, she had breakfast before they went to the swimming hole, and little Summer wanted her toast cut in triangles or whatever it is. No, there's no nurturing here whatsoever. There's nothing is ever remembered about being nurturing to this child, except of course Don, how affectionate she is, and how she would hold his heart in her 2 little hands, and how much love he felt. Right. And so they come back from this big day, and there's no, hey, well, we got lunch with everyone, and then the boys went back inside, and, no, it's as if it doesn't even cross her mind that that's what a mother would have done, And it's all just all these complicated relationships, him against her, and him against them, and them against her, and them against him, and him, it's just such a complex web. Don't forget this. This is a household of neglect, abuse, of gaslighting, of narcissism, of all sorts of things. And you do have the type of crimes where you might be able to say sociopathy or something. We don't know what has transpired, but there's a lot of very interesting language going on. Don saying, locked in the basement. He's fascinated with that. He's fascinated with her being far away. And true, if she was just taken off the street there, off the road, yeah, it's true. She could have been in any other state, or she could have been in a property a mile down the road. It's true, she could have been abducted. But do you think so? Does it seem likely? Because Summer was in great danger just by being with her own family. This is so clear. So clear. All these damaged adults trying to look after themselves and and satisfy things that they need before what their children need, specifically or mostly Summer. She clearly wasn't getting her needs met, and she was possibly there to make sure the adults got their needs met, Don in whatever way with the affection, and Candus through having someone to exploit to make TikTok videos. I don't know, while she lives her gangster life, and I think is grooming a teenage boy, and I think it's gone further, and I think I don't know what's going to happen there. Yeah, Candus is denying that she gave him alcohol, and that's possibly true, but if she did, yes, you don't want law enforcement to come down on someone that is a grieving mother, her child's missing. It would be a great opportunity to get her in and interrogate her and put some pressure on her, though, wouldn't it? But she needs to get away from Don. Okay, Don is dangerous. Do you not know this? And sure, yeah, he's giving a good act of grieving for Summer, and he probably does feel a lot of regret now because, he's lost his little, lost his little asset, Probably, the one thing is that made him feel good. Yeah. The very, very strange dynamics and very, very Virginia Andrews, flowers in the attic, and let's just hope that Summer's found soon.